Hey, Stewart's Chapel, this is Don Pierson and Don Counts, and we're at the Foggs home, and this is Wednesday's devotion. I'm going to read one verse from Psalms 18, verse 6. In my distress, I called upon the Lord and cried out to my God. He heard my voice from his temple, and my cry came before him, even to his ears. Actually, that wasn't a hard verse to find. The Bible is filled with examples of God's people crying out to God in their time of need or distress. The story I want to share with you is a story that I have shared many, many times. It's a story that I'm glad that I had plenty of witnesses for, because the event was so dramatic that there are times when I've actually asked some of the people that were there, did that really happen? Because it was a week, 8 days actually, so filled of so many God things that as time has passed, I still have to ask, did that really, really happen? It happened in the 1990s, late 1990s. I had come back to the States and as a director of Baptist churches, and a group of us, 19 of us, there were 7 preachers on that team. We had been asked by Jim and Carol McGriff, the missionaries in the southern part of Belize who worked with the Mayans, to bring a team to work in 3 villages, Santa Rosa, San Roman, and Mayamopan, in an effort to be used by God to bring life to 3 dead churches. 2 of those churches had been locked, literally just about padlocked, one for about 2 years, another one for almost 7 years. And then the 3rd church, it was struggling. And so we agreed to go. The 19 of us just agreed to go with one condition. The condition was, or the challenge from the missionary, is that the missionary, his wife, and his 2 children would fast for 8 days. The 19 of us would fast for 8 days, and each of the 19 of us would find 10 other individuals that would agree to fast for 8 days. Now that's, if I did my math right, that's 213 people that fasted for 8 days. The missionary had given us 3 very specific prayer concerns. And what happened on that trip? We watched God change us, the 19 of us. We watched one family who had been childless and told that they could not have children on a Tuesday morning in our time of prayer ask us to pray that God would give them a child. Now, some of them are listening right now, and some of you are going to scratch your head. We prayed for them. In less than 9 months, they had 10 children. Now, she didn't have that, but somewhere between the time we prayed and the time of the 9 months came, they answered the call to be ministers, missionaries to the Tennessee Baptist Children's Home. And overnight, they received 10 children. They ended up adopting 5 of those girls. God changed their life. But what God did during that week was nothing short of miraculous over and over again. The story I shared a little while back about the man and the sheep, that happened in that event. I'll be sharing over the next few weeks other events that took place. There were just so many. But the major thing that took place was on that Tuesday night, the same day that we prayed for that couple. That night, in 3 different churches. I was in San Roman, but the preachers and the team divided up. And on that night, at all 3 churches, about the same time, God moved. At San Roman, it started by a woman who had come to the altar and began to weep. Pretty soon, weeping could be heard out in the streets as people were calling out to the Lord. Before that week was over, there was about an adult, at least one adult, saved in every home in all 3 villages. It was an incredible week, movement of God. You see, the missionary wanted us to plead, and we did. And we did so with prayer and fasting. And God heard our cry. God moved. And that week, that 8 days, stands out in my mind as one of the strongest movements of God in my memory. It so messed us up that a lot of those preachers, when they came back, they went back to what they thought was a good church to find out that, well, it was lacking. That'll happen to you. When you have a collision with God like that, it creates a new point of reference. You know what I would love to happen at Stewart's Chapel? Is that God would give us a new point of reference. But I've learned one thing. It rarely happens without a lot of intense praying and fasting by the people. But I'm just not sure we're that hungry. Are you that hungry? Love you, Stewart's Chapel.